Tag has finally done it. If you are, according to some subreddits, like the PSA grading subreddit, an idiot like myself who uses Tag to grade their Pokemon cards, they have finally given us a glimpse as to what is going on with the current backlog. Earlier this week, Tag dropped a new backlog tracker on their website, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the backlog tracker, talking about the information and the timeline proposed, and then just discussing the general expectations that we should have as graders with Tag throughout, the rest of this year. So let's just get right into it. So when you log into the Tag website, there will be a link at the top that you can click that will take you to this backlog tracker. And taking a look at it, it looks like they are 43% recovered from the peak of the backlog. Now, it's been about 2.5 months since they announced the freeze to the lower grading tiers to start addressing the backlog, and it looks like they're estimating the end of September as the date at which they'll fully be recovered. So we're about halfway through, 2.5 months in, and the end of September is about 2.5 months from now. So I'd say that's a pretty fair estimated end date if they're able to keep up the pace or maybe even speed things up a little bit. Now, a key thing here is noting that we don't have to wait until the end of September. It looks like they're actually going to be opening up some limited availability for lower grading tiers at the end of August once they hit that 80% recovery mark. There's some other interesting information here. As we can see, they were at 420% of their capacity, which is insane. That just goes to show you how much Pokemon has been in demand and also how much people are looking for grading alternatives to companies like PSA and CGC. So I know a lot of people hate on Tag, and honestly, they've handled this pretty poorly in some ways. I know their customer service has been ass. The delays are really bad. I've got a submission that is way past 45 business days at this point, and it is still in image processing. But you can't ignore that there was obviously demand for Tag. So people went there, and now we're in this mess. So I do think that says something about how collectors view Tag and their grading. Now, there is more information below this backlog tracker, so I highly suggest scrolling down through the page and actually looking at the rest of this, because there are some good nuggets of information in here. As you can see here, they're talking about how much the backlog has been reduced, but also that they're hiring, training, they're expanding their equipment, and their process improvements are continuing. Those are the other pieces that you want to see. We don't want to know that they've just handled the backlog. You also want to know, what are you doing to make sure we can get through this and also so that it doesn't happen again? And if you're someone like me who actually has an order out with Tag that has been impacted by these delays, scrolling down will give you some information regarding the priority that they're addressing this with. And as you can see, orders with estimated completion dates in June are the ones that are being prioritized now. This is another thing to keep an eye on just as they're addressing this backlog, is knowing what they're currently working on in terms of that backlog. Where are they in the timeline of orders? So all that to say, if you want to just glance at this, go for it. But there is some useful information that looks like it's going to be updated at least on a weekly basis. So I highly recommend just checking in if you are a Tag grader and making sure that you're up to date with everything going on. So going back to the timeline, as I said, I do think that the estimates that they've got in place make sense based on how long it's taken them to get where they are, what they've put in place to address this, and then how long it should take them to fully resolve. So looking at that timeline though, we are looking at limited reopenings at the end of August. That being said, if you are someone who is looking to send in a submission to Tag and you're not trying to use the priority levels that are available right now, I know I don't feel like spending $150 to grade a card, then you should be super tuned into these updates and make sure that if you want to submit cards at one of those lower tiers, that you have a submission ready to go. Don't be working on something and then think, oh, I'm going to go to a show this weekend and finish this out and then send it in. I highly recommend making sure that you've got a pile of cards, they're ready to go, because when these drop, I do think that they're going to go pretty quick. Also note, it's not disclosed which tiers will be coming back in these limited reopenings. I could totally see the basic tier not coming back until at least the backlog is fully resolved, maybe even later. So one thing I'm going to be doing, and I highly suggest that anyone else do this as well, is I'm going to be preparing my cards and have different strategies based on which tiers are available to me so that I know day one what I'm going to do. So what should our expectations be of Tag Grading Company going forward after the backlog has been resolved and through the rest of the year and next year and so on? One thing to keep in mind is a large part of this backlog was the AI grading piece. From what Tag has given us information-wise, it does appear that they're making a big push on having more of that infrastructure in place to handle the demand for AI grading, so that down the road, it's not such a bottleneck on volume. This is something I think that we're going to have to really pay attention to as they continue to grow and evolve, because it's a lot easier, I think, to probably hire people and maybe expand a little bit than it is to get certain tools and technology in place that support this part of the process. So as a customer of Tag, I'm definitely expecting them to continue to push that direction, while also making sure they're scaling up in their staffing, their facilities, all of the other things it takes to make this process run smoothly. And at the end of the day, this whole event has definitely hurt their brand. So I absolutely expect them to be more cautious going forward. I've referenced this in previous videos, but keep an eye out on what their value tiers, and I'm talking like basic and standard, keep an eye out on what those look like after everything fully returns. Because this has obviously done damage to Tag's reputation, I expect them to put some walls up to make sure this can't happen again. And one of those things, and I think this might be something we see in the greater grading landscape if the demand continues to rise like it has, is that we're going to see higher prices and longer turnaround times for these value tiers. I think it's just the natural way to ensure that people can't out-purchase what they're able to provide. So if I were to guess, I would expect it to look a little like this maybe. Your basic tiers are going to be looking like $30 a card in a 60-day turnaround time. Your standard's going to be like $50 in a 30-day turnaround time. And then your express is going to look like probably $75 with a 15-day turnaround time. Now, that's not set in stone. I'm just trying to prepare for a change in what the cost and turnaround time looks like for Tag because of this whole debacle. If I had to guess, it's going to be somewhere around there. So I hope this video was helpful. I am very excited for Tag grading to return. I've been grading with CGC, and I really prefer Tag, honestly. I love the dig report. I love the slabs. So those are the things I miss the most. But like with all grading companies, there are just issues that happen, it seems like, and they just fall to the wayside. So I think that as long as Tag comes back strong and they can follow through on the promises they make, and they can have better customer service, and they can just be around the turnaround times they estimate, this will fall to the wayside like it has for PSA, like it has for CGC, and they'll continue to grow as a company, which I hope they do, not because I'm a shill. I just liked grading with them before all of this happened. But let me know your thoughts below. Are you going to be grading with Tag after this whole debacle? Is it still worth it? Do you think they'll be around in a year? Do you think they'll be bigger? Curious to know everyone's thoughts on it. But anyway, that's all we got for today, and I will talk to you guys on the next one. Peace.